Hey everyone, TNT here. All right, so it is now day 2 of my vacation and the reassembly of the 1990 CR125 project. So here's what we got going on. All right, so over here we got the wheels ready for the brakes and the sprocket and the tires. I've got my zinc plating kit going here to be able to zinc plate the pins and whatever else I can find that I missed. Over here on the workbench, I've got the shock that I'm still going to have to put back together. Got the frame sitting there waiting patiently. And over here we've got the grinder and polisher all set up, triple clamps, all the new parts sitting there in that box. Parts in here that still need to be tidied up and cleaned up a little bit. Then there's a bunch of bolts in there that I'm probably going to replace rather than a re-zinc plate. As we're going along, I'll find out. If not, it's really quick for me to polish them up and get them in the zinc plating bath and zinc plate them. Some of the bolts that I have and the nuts that I have are not in the best of shape, so I'll probably be putting them on the bike for now, but I'll just be marking them down and getting replacements over the next week. All right, so we're going to install the stem bearings now. I finally got the proper bottom seal for the stem. When I initially ordered my kit, it must have been packed incorrectly and I got the wrong seal. And I contacted Wrench Rabbit, they sent out a new seal right away. So this Pivot Works kit comes with the grease required for your bearings, top and bottom bearings and seals. I also went out and bought an installation tool. This is not required, okay? I am a major tool fanatic. Specialty tools, I like buying specialty tools. So whenever I can afford to do it, I go out and buy one. You don't need one of these to put your bearings on. And I'm going to show you the tool that I bought for installing my inner races. There is a tool that actually you put them in the top and bottom and then you tighten it together. It's a press, I guess you'd call it, and it presses your inner races into your frame, but I won't be doing that. I've got a tool that I actually hammer my inner races in. Now I've got a little bit of grease coated in here. I'm just going to put some grease on the stem itself. You don't have to like have it gobbed on there. You're literally creating a layer, a very fine film layer around that. Okay, so now we're going to bring the bearing down. We're going to make sure that it's sitting pretty flush. I'll grab my installation tool and my hammer. All right, here we go. Let's give it a good hammer here and see how much my bench moves. Well, that wasn't too bad. Now, as I get closer to the bottom, I gotta watch this seal because it's not absolutely perfect with where it sits. I think we're good. Now, when you're hammering this down, you should have a very deadening sound when it gets to the bottom. That feels like it right there. And that is all there is to it when installing a lower bearing on your stem. Make sure that it still turns fine. Okay, so if you don't have this tool, you could actually get a piece of pipe that would go over top of the shaft and just hit the inner race. Make sure that you're only hitting the inner race. You don't want to be hitting that bearing cage, because if you do that, you're going to bend it and your bearing's not going to turn. If you don't have that, you can simply use a very fine tip punch, and you just tap it on both sides, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you can knock that bearing all the way down. There's probably even some other ways out there that don't require the tool, but being as I'm a collector of tools, I bought this, and this is the first time using it, and I think it works fantastic. All right, so having a good look at the stem, I've got a pretty good ridge inside there that I'm pretty sure I can catch with a punch. I'm gonna look at knocking it out with a punch first, and then if a punch doesn't work, I'll go grab my blind bearing remover, which will definitely work. It's got a really good lip at the top and at the bottom. Now the reason I want to show you with a punch first is because if you don't have the tools required, like a blind bearing remover, almost everybody's got a punch set or access to one. So let's just see if we can get it out with a punch first. So I've got just a regular punch. Just going to see if I can catch the edge of it. And there you go, I can definitely catch the edge. Oops. Just going to put my safety glasses on here in case the punch fails in some way. And let's just take it right on the top to start. And then we'll move to the bottom. Just kind of go back and forth. And I'm pretty sure I've got it. And there, out comes the bottom race. Now we'll move to the top one. This has probably been one of the best tools I've ever had, this screwdriver. I don't know who made this thing, but the tip is so strong. Go right there. And I think that just about knocked it out. Just going to put it right over the edge of the bench here, get it on this back side, and out she comes. So if you've got one of these things lying around and you've ever thought about using it as a punch, it works fantastic, and man, that tip is so strong. I've never had it break, so it's not hard enough that it would chip off, and yet it's hard enough that it works great as a punch. This is my race installer. So this is all tapered, and the way that this works is you just go like that. You just turn it, and it goes to whatever size race you need to install. It's a fantastic tool. It was super cheap. I think I paid about 50 bucks for this thing, and I've had zero issues with it. Insert it like that, take this and adjust it to the appropriate size, just like that. Then you spin this one right here, and that locks it into position. Now, just going to tighten that up again. Right there. Go with the bottom one, spin that one, and there we go. It's ready to hammer in. I think that is it. That sounded pretty good. Just going to have a look at it all the way around and make sure that it looks even. And that's it. It's good. Alright, now here's another situation where you can have a specialty tool. I bought this one here, this spanner, to tighten up the stem nuts, but it's not required. It just does less damage than sitting there with a screwdriver and tapping on it. Alright, so I'm just going to tighten it up. I think that's good right there. Now this part here, you don't want to fully tighten up yet because you're going to have to get your shocks in here, and you don't want them to be seizing up, so just leave it loose so that you can get your shocks up inside. So, not that long ago I picked up this 4-piece stud extractor set. Got this off eBay, very inexpensive. Haven't had an issue with it yet, and I have had to use it for the studs on the cylinder for this build. Now today I'm actually going to be installing a stud. Now you can just use a couple of nuts to do this, to get it all the way down to where you need to, but I'm pretty sure that this tool works in both ways. So not only is it an extractor by design, but it also can be used for installing. So as I hold it in there like that, I can feel it grip. So let's see if it does work both ways. I'm going to start it off. Get it going in there. Now I'm going to put this on, get it down to where I can see it's gripping the edge, and there we go. It is installing that stud. Little grab. Now I think I'm about at its limitation for the size of the non-threaded part that this is able to grip. This is the smallest one I have. Okay, and there's a bit of a lip from where it can grab inside to right there, and I can't get it down any further, and the tool sits higher in there. So I think what's happened is, in this area right here, the distance from there to there, I've lost the ability to turn it in any further. But this is now in line with the rest of the studs, so that's as far as I need to go. So great cheap tool, 4-piece stud extractor set. You can probably find them at a lot of your local stores, or you can pick it up off eBay. Very handy thing to have. Yeah, well, I guess it helps to put the wheel on the right way, right? Getting a little bit tired. Okay, let's try that again. I'm not near as far as I was hoping that I would be on this bike, but it turns out that I had forgotten to plate a few bolts, and there's still a bunch of cleaning that needed to be done, and the cleaning process takes a while. Now the plan is that this roller should be done by the end of this week. That is my plan. I mean, it pretty much has to be done by the end of this week. But with 5 days straight, I should easily be able to get this done. I'm thinking tomorrow I'm going to have the rubber put on. I'm going to find a sprocket, so I'll get that put on. I'll be able to get the linkage mounted onto the swing arm. We'll have a look at maybe getting the shock completely rebuilt tomorrow. I do have all the parts for it. It's just a matter of rebuilding it. So I got quite the mess going on here that I got to put away. I can't leave any of this stuff out. I got to put it all away except for the bike. I'm just going to wrap it up for the night. All right, everyone. So that's going to wrap up day 1 and day 2 of the project. Wednesday is going to be sandblasting and powder coating the engine, and maybe even some assembly. I mean, the sandblasting powder coating is really quick. You don't have to let it sit and dry for a long time. I do have to rebuild the rear shock as well. I'm hoping to get that done tomorrow. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and watching my videos. Please share with your friends, leave some comments, follow, subscribe if you're a brand new viewer, and I will catch you tomorrow.